live, and then we can get into it. Alright, so hello everyone, and welcome back to Factorio. Let's click resume, and let's see. When we last left off, I believe we were on Fulgora, and we had just set up this legendary holmium plate production, which is fine. So that's just going now, and the reason we needed a bunch of those was for legendary electromagnetic plants. So we also need refined concrete for that. And we need a lot of stuff per EM plant. Kind of like weirdly large numbers, but whatever. So refined concrete is just some assorted stuff that's easy to get, plus regular concrete. Now, if I remember correctly, regular concrete is something we sort of have a serious issue with, right? It's... let's see, where is the concrete? Where is the concrete setup? It's somewhere... oh yes, it's this one. And as you can see, we are using our legendary concrete as fast as we can get it. And I believe that this setup was like fully taking advantage of all the stone, or of all the concrete coming in. Let's just look to make sure that these guys empty out before another train shows up. Okay, another train is actually on the way, and these do have some stockpiles left. Okay, so theoretically, this can be improved. Theoretically. So, we need to increase the speed of all this stuff. So, let's start with that, and hopefully that lightning rod isn't necessary. There's one right here, so it should be fine. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so then we just need to reconnect the power lines again. So we apparently managed to get this whole section cut off from power. Alright, so that is fixed. Now we have these guys, which should all be working, except now the whole system is jammed. Why is the whole system jammed? Presumably just because we have too much stuff here. Alright, so let's then take this and expand it out a little bit. Just add in a couple more machines and see if that works. So yeah, the problem is that we don't have enough space on the belts, basically. So let's also maybe go through and upgrade these belts. Oh, it's relatively easy to do so. Just slide and drag that, and that'll get sorted out. So those belts will all show up eventually. There we go. And I don't think that'll cause a huge difference, but it might be helpful. Now, there is the question of how all this stuff got jammed and how to unjam it. So, we can make these legendary recyclers. That will help somewhat. Although I believe that's going to use up a lot of the concrete as well. So we can do that, and it'll be fine. And then we probably just need to dismantle some of this stuff. So yeah, the actual problem here, which is causing everything to jam, is that this machine has too much input that it's waiting on, and then it can't output because of all that stuff. Okay, let's just see if we take some of the belts out and then put them back in, and we should get the Spidertron over here as well. So that should temporarily force some extra space onto the belts, and then maybe that will cause the whole thing to start just working again. And the Spidertron is quite slow, but it's on its way. And it's real far away. And the belts are nowhere to be found either. Alright, no, the belts are showing up now. There they are. And we just need to clear out the previously existing belts first. Alright, Spidertron is here. It's done some stuff. I don't know what's going on with those, but there we go. So that got it all sort of partially working. Let's just do this again and see if it fixes. So now this is able to output a lot of its stuff, and it's all good. Okay. So this is still getting stuck constantly. Now, how do I solve that? So we don't need more of these, probably. I'll add another one in just to be sure. Just get you like that, and like that, and out to there. So in case that was somehow partially the problem, now that's twice as fast. And these guys up here definitely shouldn't need it. So now that is temporarily running. So it might also just be the way all these belts are lined up is very weird. Okay, yeah, so what I want to do is actually want to... Okay, I need to make sure only to cut the stuff that I want to cut, which is from there over to here. We cut that and we move it down one so that these belts are different. And then that belt comes around that way. And okay, power poles need to go in up here, like so. And then all this stuff just gets rebuilt. Come on, Spidertron, do the work, please. Alright. That seems to be just about done. And now we just need to get this to all work out together. So this belt needs to send regular stuff up that way and not fancy stuff. We need to dismantle that now and rebuild it. So we've got that. Now we have this belt goes across there and it's going to merge up with input priority right with that, and then it's going to do an incredibly cursed little squiggle around that way and then go under and into those machines. So now the effect of all that is that these guys here get priority on going through. And these guys here are going to be on the other side. So that is now running. And now we have the problem that this is not using both sides of the belt. So we need to fix that so that this are we going to need to set up this to use both sides of the belt? So a single belt here can take 240, right? So this is 40, 80, 120. Yeah, so this is going to need to use both sides of the belt in order to work properly. So let's cut all of this, just this entire area, as much as possible, and move you down a little bit. So you go in down there, and that gives us a little bit more space to play with up here. So we can have you go out and then up and in there while you go along like that. And we're going to need all this stuff to build properly before we can continue on. Alright. Alright, drones. I gotta move on. There's not something out here that's causing this to lag, is there? It's just all the stuff that it needs to dismantle. And the Spidertron is weirdly not doing well at that. Alright, let's add some things in to the list of things for you to not carry. That should help give you inventory space. So you don't need to carry that, or uncommon hazard concrete. Okay, so that is better. Now we have all this, and it's mostly built. So this belt here, wait, is this dumb? Yeah, this is wrong. This is flipping it around onto the same side. So you actually need to go like that. So now you can all go onto that side. And then this belt continues along and goes down into there somehow. And we're going to have to redesign all of this stuff. Then the return belt, we want you to be evenly limited to both sides. So if you just do like that. So now the return belt will also output to both sides, as will this one. And so now I just need these two to merge up. So this belt here goes in to there. This belt doesn't exist. And then this belt does the awkward loop around to there. And that should be all set up, I think. Okay, so did this just immediately get jammed? Yes. So that's obviously, we just need to have you go back down to there. And that should be fine now. You're supposed to be input priority left, aren't you? So that this can run as much as possible. Okay, so now that is going. And these guys are doing their thing. There should be enough of them here to keep up with everything. And there's enough of all these, of course. So this seems to be more or less working. It's obviously not going to be a full 240 concrete per second because of the cycle backs. It'll still be pretty reasonably quick, and theoretically should be fast enough to not have issues with where the output is limiting factor. So that's all going. Now we just need to get all this stuff drained out as fast as possible before the concrete... Is the concrete going to be an issue here? So these boxes are all mostly empty, so hopefully it's fine. Now this is doing the weird thing where like one side of the input gets serious priority over the other, which I really don't like, but there's not much to be done about that. Aside from, I guess, setting up another thing to output it to both sides so that that's even. Yeah, let's actually just do that. It's a pretty simple setup. You just do this, and then you go like that. And now we're evenly taking from both sides back here, even if past that point it becomes more uneven, I think. Okay, actually, this technically just pushes the demand over to the other side somehow, but it is what it is. That's basically what we wanted to be doing anyways, so I'm not going to complain about it too much. We just need to get these boxes cleared out and have that all sorted out. So that is going. It's all running smoothly, and we've got these boxes here sort of as a buffer for this, but it doesn't seem like they're needed with the concrete input being as bad as it is. So how is the actual legendary concrete supply going? Do I happen to see any just casually showing up? Yes, there are a couple in there, and they immediately get picked up. So yeah, this is nowhere near sufficient for the amount that we need. So we need to make legendary refined concrete. That is going to involve getting legendary concrete somehow, and then adding those other things. So for the legendary concrete, we need to get a lot of regular concrete. So concrete cycling itself gives back stone bricks and iron ore. So if we get legendary iron ore, I guess... I'm just trying to... Because the thing is, like, if we had legendary iron ore, we could just make legendary stone bricks from our stone supply on Vulcanus, and then just do it that way. But I don't want to make an entire legendary iron ore thing just for literally this one recipe. That seems like a nightmare. So it would be real nice if we could do this from Fulgora and get enough out of it, but like clearly we're not. So I guess making a bunch of legendary iron ore is really the only option. So we're going to need huge quantities of iron ore, huge quantities of stone bricks, even huger quantities of stone bricks than the iron. And then we're going to need either a lot of water or a very small amount of water, depending on when we do the cycling. So if we make the concrete first, and then I guess technically there's nothing stopping us from just doing the cycling in this step, right? So let's see. So stone brick cycling gets us back stone bricks. And I clicked on a random button. And cycling concrete gives us stone bricks and iron ore. Now if we were to cycle iron, it gives us iron plates back. So we can't make our legendary iron ore that way by going backwards. Okay, let me think how we're going to do this. The problem is, like, our best stone supply is obviously coming from Vulcanus, but Vulcanus can't get us iron ore, which is needed for concrete for some reason, which is super annoying. And I guess we could just bring in the iron ore from space or something. Like we could just have asteroid collectors do that, but that's not super elegant either. The alternative is go back to Novice, find a massive stone patch, and just do it from here. But I don't like using finite stone when we have infinite stone, theoretically. Speaking of stone, by the way, we do have this whole setup here, right? How is this going? We've got a couple hundred spare legendary stone at this point. And Gleba stone is mostly waiting on it. And you're also just not getting anything. Do we have a launch problem? Yes, actually, Vulcanus has failed to make blue circuits now. Alright, time to get distracted fixing something else. Why do we not have blue circuits? So our blue circuit setup is down here, right? And you don't have any green circuits. The reason you don't have any green circuits is because you don't have any copper wire. How have we possibly run out of copper wire on Vulcanus? So you don't have enough molten copper. Did I just, like, accidentally disconnect a pipe somewhere? Did I just accidentally disconnect a pipe somewhere? No, these foundries don't have calcite, which they're supposed to be getting from this belt here, which is supposed to be coming from these machines. And I guess it's just the sheer amount of calcite that we're using per second now has gone up a lot. Alright, so let's just fix that. So first of all, you can all be legendary. And second of all, we are going to need to add in some beacons to get speed going well. So let's just get the classic checkerboard pattern here. And then those all get their beacons. And now we get power poles in here. And then you get a belt which runs down there. And now our calcite supply is already up, even without the other second half. So calcite supplies back in business. But I think at this point we probably want these guys to be faster or to be more efficient, just for not wasting calcite like these guys are. Is our molten iron supply good enough? That's going to be possible. Let's upgrade these to legendary foundries first of all. So those can become legendary foundries, and we need to be above like 206 per foundry at the end of the day, so like 600 some up here in order to get the throughput good enough. So now we can take out these speed modules and replace them with legendary productivity and see what happens. So now they're down to 156 per machine. So if we just get like one of you set up with legendary speed modules, that should compensate for all that. And then we just need those speed modules to show up. Okay, there we go. And now we have certainly more than enough iron. And we actually could use an extra one of those just because we've managed to tap all the lava supplies from this one foundry. Of course, that will stop being an issue once this pipe overfills, which should be any second now. And now we have blue circuits running again. So, problem solved. Problem solved. Now, back to... let's see, how much is even in here? There's decent quantities of calcite just in these couple of mining drills. Especially considering that they can be extra efficient. So there we go. And that should be all clear as far as that's concerned. Now it's mostly a stone output issue more than anything else, which is fine. Okay, so back to figuring out this whole legendary concrete thing. I really would rather that this Fulgora setup just worked fast enough to solve the issue itself. That is clearly not what's happening. So, these are all going, and the train is gone. Now, how long is this going to take? How long will this take to work through all this backlog? So these guys are mostly cleared out, but this other row is still going. And it is starting to actually run now. So that's good. All of this is going. A lot of these guys are spending a lot of their time output full because they're not able to do this properly in full stacks, which is significantly hampering our output speed. So if we don't run through all the concrete supplies, we might need to relook at that, but it's entirely likely that this will just be draining over time, and that these guys not being as fast as physically possible won't necessarily be an issue. So let's just see what happens there. Is the train on its way back? No, it's over here, and it's mostly full already, though. Okay, so we might need to We might need to spend even more time staring at this, which I don't really want to do because it's kind of a mess, but we might have to do it anyway. Alright, so let's see. The first easy thing that we can do is just get these set up to account for rarities correctly and not have to use bulk inserters for any output. Although these machines are... yeah, actually the couple machines down at the end, actually none of these are actually running at full speed. Probably because they can't get enough output fast enough. So we just give more bulk inserters into there. Then, yeah, that was the limiting factor here, and the train is back already. So I think we do need to upgrade this. Okay, so where is that setup we have over here? Where it's just like this, and okay, hopefully we can have enough space to just copy paste this in. Oh, I see, but that is only for recyclers, which means we need to just grab the... we just need to grab this component. Okay, is this whole thing not working? Okay, yeah, so this is jammed just incidentally. The classic Factorio experience of the thing you happen to glance at is now broken and you don't know why. Alright, so we have too many green circuits in this, is the fundamental problem. So we need to clear out some of these excess green circuits. And that's going to be annoying, but if we just like pop you out there, and then our entire supply of construction drones is going to be busy clearing out all the green circuits from this box. We can get the Spidertron over here to help with that. Now all the rest of these guys are stable, more or less. Like, we've got these giant buffers in here for a reason. It's just this bottom one which has the issue. Okay, so Spidertron can do its thing and get a whole bunch of stuff cleared out. And eventually its trash slots and inventory are going to fill up, but not before we get this almost entirely finished. And once that is emptied, we can then just rebuild it and hopefully not have any more problems with that. Okay, so that is emptied, and now we should have another 9,000 spots. Oh, I hit the wrong button a couple times. So now we have another 9,000 spots. You can put that back in, and now this can start moving and hopefully get some of those circuits out. Okay, so now this just goes, and we need some red circuits to show up so that we can start like naturally draining green circuits out of here again. Okay, and there are some red circuits, so that should help at least start to save us from this whole menace. Alright, so there we go. Grabbing the red circuits. And that lets some more green circuits get consumed. Meanwhile, this box is still just slowly filling up. We need more red circuits. Also, the drones over here are absolutely struggling to keep up. More red circuits go through, and it runs another cycle. Let's cut that out temporarily, just so that this will eventually slow down a little bit. We don't need to constantly be forcing new items in when it's struggling. Ooh, there's a bunch of red circuits going through. You love to see that. That might be enough to entirely jumpstart us. Okay, Gleba got attacked. Seems to be fine. They ran into some defenses, so it's not a problem. And we just lost a drone somehow. Okay, so this is all going again. And it's mostly starting back up, looks like, but still needs some work. I really need to figure out how to deal with this. Like, the green circuits just... I figured this many buffers would be enough, but apparently not. Apparently not. So now this just has to keep on running. And in the meantime, let's look over to see how the concrete is doing. It does seem like it's making progress. Like, that looks pretty empty, and the train is only just now starting to return. So hopefully the concrete is doing its thing. And then I really don't want to have to go back and redesign this entire blue circuit loop again. It seems like it might happen, though, because I just don't understand what we're supposed to be doing about this. Also, I'm pretty sure productivity on blue circuits is just maxed now. Like, this gives almost exactly twice as many blue circuits as red circuits. This takes twice as many blue circuits as red circuits, so we're at plus 295% productivity, which means that this basically just doesn't need an input anymore. Like, basically every blue circuit that goes in will eventually become a legendary blue circuit, I think, because it's almost perfect efficiency. Alright, so this is already starting to get back up to the point where it's completely filled. Now, if I just make you a passive provider chest, which apparently the Spidertron doesn't carry those, but if I just make you a passive provider chest, and then give a decider combinator. Actually, I can even probably make you an active provider chest, which we're going to need to craft, but should be fine. So we just go over here, we get a setup for that, active provider chest, and requester chest, and then that all gets powered and set up. So now we just need steel chests, which somehow we've never made here. let's get that set up. So you can make steel chests, power, and there. So now we just need to limit both of these to just a tiny amount. And oh, you need to actually get the steel delivered. So there we go. And then you need all of these inserters to show up as well. And then that should be everything for that. Okay, so now it's just the passive provider chest here, which we need to appear any second now. There we go. So now we have active provider chests available. And we need you to be connected up to both of those. And we need to wait for the active provider chest to make it all the way across the planet. But you are basically going to be enable disable on some check signal equals 1. And then you, for now, will make this simple. We'll just have it green circuits greater than 9,000. And then output the check signal, but you might need to make this more complicated in the future. So that should do something to help with this. And now we just need somewhere over here we have a spot which just dismantles green circuits, right? Or is it just red and blue circuits? I think it might be just red and blue circuits that get made from scrap. Let's check. Yeah, just red and blue circuits. So we actually need some way of disposing of all these excess green circuits, which I can actually check how many we have. We have 77,000 electronic circuits just lying about doing nothing. Okay, so first of all, let's just get that set up. Just place it down somewhere. And it doesn't need to be fancy, it's just a line of recyclers, and we can even have it be just regular recyclers for now. And just sort of build this wherever, but preferably not too far from here for convenience sake. And then you... Okay, we actually need you to be relatively smart. So let's give you a decider combinator, which is going to be taking information from this drone port over here. So we just need to make sure that we don't accidentally destroy all of our green circuits, because we do want to keep some of those around. Also, we didn't even need to bring that all the way over because we need to place a new drone port in order to squeeze this guy in anyways. Alright, so your condition needs to be... Actually, you don't even need to be a condition. You can be an arithmetic combinator, actually. Because I just had a better idea for this. So, you need to be input of green circuits minus 20,000 and output as green circuits, And then you are set requests. And so now we should see this feeding the whatever 77,000 green circuits over to here. And now you are going to request like as many green circuits as humanly possible. And then we just dump those onto the belt. And let's actually just get as much out of this one thing as possible. So we just have like that, and then you need your power pole back. So that's 4 stack inserters going out of this, which should be perfectly fine. And then we just have those guys going across, and then we loop this back in with input priority right, and hopefully that will get rid of at least a decent amount of green circuits. Hopefully it won't jam. Very well might. And all of our logistics bots are stuck doing this now forever, basically. So that is gonna be a bit of work. But the good news is that our massive electronic circuit stockpile was right there. So we built it in the right spot. And so now we just need this to actually function properly and dispose of enough green circuits without getting jammed. And I think we probably will want to... set this up to be more fast and potentially have multiple lanes. Yeah, so I think we want to set this up to have multiple lanes instead of immediately looping back like that. So let's first of all have you go up there, and then we can grab like most of this, rotate it horizontally so that the inputs and outputs are reversed, and then you feed your copper wire and iron plates into that. And now this can be the loop back with input left, and then hopefully that will be good enough. So this has stabilized at being approximately 90% full until this all gets built and functioning again so that you can continue to drain green circuits out. So all these belts go in, and at this point we're mostly good with that. Let's also help the drones out by making some legendary drone ports, like you, and just sort of all these ones around here can be legendaried, as can these ones down here, which are taking a bunch of the effort. There we go. So that is that. And now they're just powering back up. And this is going, but we want to have multiple rows, obviously. But not like that. You go in like that. And that should help. Should help getting all this stuff going. So that is in, and it's just continuing to to churn a bit. Okay, so these are not very fast at all. Just these ones down here are relatively fast, so we want these rows to be legendary, just to help them with their output speed, because that is clearly a bottleneck at this point, whereas these guys have plenty of output speed, and there's just nothing to put it on yet. So all that goes in, and the machines get way faster, and it's looking pretty solid now. Like you can see, they're not making it all the way down to the other end of the line, which means that we're just about using all that we can. And now it's just the problem that these guys are filling up the belt incredibly quickly, and so we're not getting too much out. Now, over here, this is all running again, and it should be working just fine now that these boxes are under control. We have enough red circuit output to keep it running. And this should theoretically just keep that functional now. So as long as this setup keeps going, then it'll all be fine. Now currently we're limited by belt speed, obviously. So in order to fix that, I think I want to do is, first of all, get rid of that random belt, which is pointing the wrong direction. So we start by having you loop around like that, and then this can just continue outwards. And then we have this one also loop around like so. So this will be a full belt of output. Then this will be a full belt of output. And with 2 full belts of output, we should be able to do a better job of getting green circuits dealt with. So all we need to do is copy you, rotate you a little bit, and then paste you in like right there and not hit escape. Okay, so that didn't work because I didn't hold down the right button. So we need to clear out all of that stuff. And you need to be rotated in like that and hold built up. And then we just need this train line to loop around correctly. So we're going to cut you a little bit further back and then connect you up to that. And that's back in business. And now we just need to get this connected up. So you go into there, and then you attach in, and that should be even more green circuits dealt with. And it looks like we're doing actually a reasonably good job of clearing this out. It's already down to 30k, and we had... yeah, so we had asked for... to keep like 20,000 on hand at all times. We're down to 50,000 already. So progress is definitely being made here. And eventually this won't even have to run all that much, and all this extra speed will mostly just be unnecessary. But for now, it's something that we have access to. And that should keep us all under control. So this box isn't doing anything because it doesn't have enough green circuits to consider itself jammed. Now our blue circuit loop back is actually starting to fill up a bit, which is interesting. I assume that these boxes haven't fully drained yet, although a lot of them have. You can actually tell the little red circle means that everything in there is getting output fully. And so it is slowly making progress. Boy, that's a lot of drones. What are you all doing? Just massive swarm of drones all at once for no immediately obvious reason. Okay, also the ice cube supply up here is actually a little bit worrying. Like, these boxes are almost empty and there's no train in sight. Ah, I see. We've had a traffic jam again. Okay. How has that happened? So Gear Wheels wants to get out here. You can't go forwards because this blue circuit train is sitting here. Okay, so we can just move that a little bit further up and remove the one that it's currently waiting at. And that should make this area workable. If we then squeeze a signal, a block signal in there, then hopefully that'll be enough. And you are now going forwards, so that's all functional again. Also, we still have a solid 100% of our logistics drones running around, presumably carrying green circuits, which is not ideal. I'd like them to occasionally do other things, but it is what it is. Okay, so now that's happened, which I'm not pleased about. So this signal needs to be a chain signal. And does this need to be a chain signal? No, they're fine to sit in this area. They're not fine to sit up there. And okay, this signal needs to be further down, a lot further down, actually. So that chain signal goes all the way down there, and that gets cleared out. And then this should be fine, right? So the reason you can't go forwards is because this guy is in here, which is intended behavior, because this guy should never be sitting in here until he can get all the way out. Now the reason you're sitting here is because this whole thing is one giant block along with all of this. Alright, can I fix that without breaking things more? If I make that a chain signal, then it might fix that problem. And you were waiting back there, which is fine. That shouldn't be an issue, really. So once that chain signal is in, this train should be able to move forwards, as should this train, and then we can get everything functioning, hopefully. Also, those poor logistics bots are having a real good time. There's all these green circuits down here that they're trying to empty out. They'll get there eventually. Alright, so that train is moving forwards. So that's progress. And now that train can go on as well. Now you can go on, and seems like the traffic jam is resolved. Not seeing any further issues aside from just the fact that there are a lot of trains waiting to do stuff. Alright, so now you're going forwards, and yeah, everything's looking better now. And we have our ice cube train on the way over here. Oh, and that seems like Gleaver got attacked. Although it seems like we mostly kept things under control with this defensive setup here. Alright, but I don't like being attacked at all, even if we do keep it under control. So, how are they like consistently getting all the way into here, by the way? It's completely insane. Like, they should be getting stopped way further out than that. Like by this one. So, where are these guys in particular even coming from? Can we just like shoot some random artillery out this direction to see if there's anything to see? Maybe we get lucky and just absolutely snipe something. Okay, so far doesn't seem like there's anything. Although that's a weird little flicker. That could be a thing. I know they sometimes like absorb spores and do stuff that way. No, that was nothing. So it's probably these guys up here. We're just using artillery to scout at this point. So those are some red specks. So it could be actual enemies, or it could be where enemies were like a million years ago. Okay, yes, there is an egg raft up there, but it's beyond the spore cloud, so I'm not sure how exactly. Not sure how that would be doing anything. You also have a small egg raft, so let's just get that cleared out. And we've got this guy who's coming in. So let's get the Spidertron moving up to intercept him. Okay, so that... The railguns sort of completely beefed it. Like, they didn't even get to shoot. Although I think that one might have just shot. It's hard to say for certain. Alright, so it says they're long range, but clearly their range is kind of an issue. So we could just bring out like legendary railgun turrets to this. And that would partially help address the problem. And I just don't like that these guys are attacking me at all. So those attacks were coming from up here. Yeah, I don't like the fact that I keep getting attacked and I don't even know like where the attacks are coming from. That's quite the issue for me. But we'll continue to ignore it, and it looks like green circuits are starting to get under control again. Like, these areas are just completely cleared out at this point. So we still have 100% of our logistics drones working on it. But should be almost done now. If we check this, we have 9.7k green circuits left to clear out. That shouldn't be too much more than what we currently have making the trip. So that's all good. Now if we check back up here, the ice cubes have returned, so this is all functional. We don't need to worry about that anymore. I'll probably just take another trip to get it completely filled up to the point that it wants to be. And we have our green circuits and red circuits doing their thing again. So that's all good. How is concrete supply? Concrete supply is still churning. And still doesn't seem to be making any meaningful progress. Although it's just hard to tell because like the train shows up and then leaves instantly. Okay, so if we just check, if we check this, it looks like solid fuel might be an issue. Although there is a train there loading up, so it could be fine. But it looks like these guys up here aren't getting much of anything, which does tend to make me think that there's an issue somewhere. Who knows? Okay, no, the solid fuel looks fine. It's now being interrupted partially. So that should be okay. There's nothing like super dramatically obvious. The gear wheels are hanging in there, doing their thing. And if we go back over to the stone... Okay, yeah, so the concrete supply is all in the clear, so that is completely empty. And these guys are now starting to empty. Which means that we are successfully dealing with all of the concrete that we have access to here on Fulgora. And there's not that much more that we can do here, like, realistically. So this setup will be taking all that concrete, and is the next train on its way. It's waiting at the scrap source, which is unsurprising. So these last couple boxes are going to empty out, and then we will have our complete collapse of our concrete supply. Well, at least we've gotten up to like 9 there. How much does it take to make one recycler? 20? We just need so much legendary concrete to do anything. Like, we need 20 per recycler. We need like 100 per EM plant because it's like 2 to 1 into refined concrete. It's just so much. Okay, so this is basically cleared out at this point. It's just this one box full of concrete, which is powering the entire setup. And then another train shows up. So that should be fine. So that all flows out. And I mean, we're basically almost able to keep up with the full unloading speed. Not quite there, but pretty close. And then we've got these guys to just... These served a purpose at some point. They don't really do anything anymore, but at least they exist. Alright, so yeah, the train is now gone. These boxes never got all that filled up in the first place, so they're going to empty out. And we need to come up with a newer and better source of concrete than Fulgora, because this is not good enough for how much we need. So let's actually look over here at the recyclers. So we have 3 spares. We have 3 spare legendary recyclers, and it's all down to the concrete, basically. Also, we have 100 logistics drones available now, so we're basically most of the way there in terms of this green circuit limitation issue. So that should all be cleared. And there's no more fancy stuff I can do to make this better. So this is just running as usual, and I guess we'll have to see if we wind up with too many red circuits or not back here. Should be fine though. So over here at the green circuits, we have 6.6k still waiting. And all of those are queued up for delivery. The logistics drones really need more of them. But this should calm down soon and then give us more drone availability. Now, does fast transport also, you're here, so you can drop down a couple more of all these guys. So that will be marginally helpful. Just get a couple hundred extra spare drones in so that that's not an issue anymore. And now it's just back down to letting this one box very slowly fill. It's funny that this box just gets the absolute blast dibs and can't unload at all reasonably quickly. Okay, so how is this going? Because the solid fuel is seemingly jammed now. Okay, so that is something which we need to fix. So we just need an extra train on this loop. So we do have this set up to be able to have multiple trains waiting in here. Now, where is the actual solid fuel recycling? Because that might be the issue. No, the solid fuel cycling is totally fine. And it's just waiting there. Alright, so yeah, let's get an additional train on the solid fuel loop setup. So we get a train, and we get 1, 2, 3, 4 wagons. And we can just let that sit for a bit. And this station is the place I'm building it because there's nothing that actually uses this station at the moment. It's just completely empty. Alright, so that is all set up. You get assigned to solid fuel scrap and automatic mode, and you're off. So hopefully that will increase the speed at which we can get rid of the solid fuel, which will then correspondingly help us produce all the other items. Alright, so you are here. Then the next train is waiting all the way back here. But it should be moving forward. Yeah, so it's already on its way. So that train is headed out. The next train is most of the way in. And now it arrives. So we can keep this loading up happening as fast as possible. And this was enough, right? So the gear wheels had 2 trains. And they were handled by that. Although they stacked to 100, so let's see here. Okay, the gear wheels stacked to 100 instead of 50, but there's more than twice as many, so it should be a wash. And 2 trains should be enough to handle the solid fuel. So that should be fine. Obviously the belt speed is not an issue. And now it's just how fast can we load all of it up? It seems like the answer is fast enough. And then we just need to make sure that this is capable of running. Yeah, this is totally fine. Okay, there's definitely no issues on this front. Like the other train hasn't even gotten out of the station yet, and we're 90% clear. Okay, so that's all good. That is all good, and it's just going to be cleared out. Basically just like immediately before the next one shows up. So that's honestly fantastic timing. So that is all going, and if we need to accelerate this, we can just add extra rows. So if we just copy paste you, we should have enough space to just add like one extra row onto each of these without having to change anything meaningfully. You need to be flipped vertically in order to line up properly. Oh, and then you just need to be copy pasted differently, I guess. Alright, so that should help the unload speed a little bit in case that was a problem, which I doubt it is, but doesn't hurt to fix. So now we have 4 of these guys unloading at a time instead of just 3. And they look like they're doing fine. So that's all good. Then the next train is... Did these two somehow manage to get... Okay, we probably just need a signal in here somewhere. Okay, strictly speaking, no, but we just want to have something in there anyways. And then we want you to all be pushed forwards a bit. So that we can have a signal in there. And the train can just wait in this area and not be stuck at that intersection. And that should be enough space for that to work fine. Just back up to the concrete. Still nowhere near good enough. Okay, so let's head over to Vulcanus probably. So we need to get an enormous amount of legendary stone bricks, which we can just make by crafting up with legendary stone, which we're already producing. But as well as already producing that, we're also just already using it. And I don't know if we have enough space for it to all work out. So this is up to 45 of these. Now, our legendary landfill was up here, and we are mostly just waiting on legendary stone for all of this. So, if we want this to work, we need even more production up here. Okay, so our legendary stone production is kind of having issues, but it's fine for the biochambers, right, which were 50 stone to 1 landfill, but for the EM plants it's going to be 100 stone to... It's going to be 2 stones per stone bricks, and then 5 stone bricks per 10 concrete, so I guess it's 1 stone per concrete, but then this is 2 to 1, so we need 100 legendary stone per refined concrete. Okay, so let's just actually go back to Novice and just get a stone mine down the normal way. So we've got a couple reasonable patches nice and close. Like, we've got mostly this one is probably our best bet. So let's just set up a mining outpost here with big mining drills so that we don't ever run out. And then we just need this to be a good old repeating pattern. And you go all the way up to there, and then we have the next row down here with the same repeating pattern. And then we need to leave one gap for the belt, and then just continue this on, and then we can get the belt in like that, and like that. So now we can copy paste this whole thing and get more beacons in there. And then let's get legendary quality beacons everywhere. So these all get set up. Apparently we need to actually bring the legendary big mining drills over to Novice. I could have sworn I'd done that already, but I guess not. Alright, then we get power poles in, and if those just go directly across from each of the big mining drills, it should work. So these go in like that, and then we just connect them back to that row somehow. And then we get this entire thing connected up, and we just keep with our alternating pattern. And that ought to be good enough. So let's get a drone port out here, and then connect the power line up. And then we will need to see what all we are missing. So we need to get the big mining drills over. So Vulcanist support, whichever one you are going to request legendary big mining drills, 20, and probably also legendary foundries. And we should have enough of both of those, right? Yeah, we have 40 foundries stockpiled, and here's the legendary big mining drills. So we've got 60 of those. So yeah, that should be fine. It'll be a while before they all show up, but that will happen eventually. And in the meantime, we're just waiting on all this stuff to get built. And this is a secure area, right? We've got the ocean right back here, so we're not going to have any issues with that. Okay, so now we need to figure out how fast this is all going to be, because we need to get as much of this stone out on belts as possible. Oh boy, that sounds like a gleba exploding again. And it was, but it's been dealt with again. Okay, so let's try to make these power poles a little bit more resilient. Just have extra rows of them going on various places, just so that there isn't like one single power pole that can get wiped out to destroy the entire setup. And then I really wish I could see where these attacks were even coming from, because I just have no idea where I should be building my defenses. Like, I would have thought that if they come in from this direction, surely they would get caught up by these guys first. but if they were coming from any other direction, then surely they would hit various parts of the factory first. So I guess it's possible that they just straight up ignore the factory until they get to defenses or agri towers. But that seems wrong. It seems like there's something that I'm missing, but I guess for now let's just copy you and put another version of you up there. And that goes in. And hopefully will be enough. Okay, seems like our legendary bioflux to legendary nutrients setup is actually also just struggling at this point. So I don't like that. It could be worse. It could be worse. It seems like the pentapod eggs are going for the most part. And that's the important part, because if this system ever stops, then we have to go out and set it back up again, which is going to be a massive nuisance. Whereas if this one ever breaks, then it's just sort of annoying. Alright, so yeah, if we go up here, we apparently need even more legendary bioflux production in order to keep up with the legendary nutrients that we need. That's probably fine, though. It seems to be going fast enough to keep everything stable at the very least, which is really what I'm most concerned about. And Vulcanist support 2 is doing its thing. These other guys don't carry any of that stuff. So now we just have to go to Novice and get you set up to request legendary items from Vulcanus. So you request 20 of these and 20 of these. Actually, let's make that 40 of these, because I'm pretty sure I saw that there's a problem where we needed 25 of them. Alright, let's get fast transport. Let's just have you head down to Vulcanus as well. And we can add legendary big mining drills onto your list of requests. And hopefully that'll do something. All this stone, and it's not anywhere near enough. So we still do not have any stockpiles of stone. It just gets picked up and sent over to Gleba instantly. So we need this novice stone mine to get set up and functional, which will take quite some time because we just have to get the platforms there and back, which is going to be time consuming. Okay, we also need to just get that power pole across. And speaking of power, how is this going? Seems to be managing just fine. This is mostly nuclear powered, so that's what all those steam turbines are. It seems like we're... Actually, what was that massive spike there? It was a bunch of EM plants all running, and now they're down. And then they go up again. Right, that's an issue. Alright, Gleba support is having some issues here. Can we just, like... this is not easy to fix, to say the least. Can we just, like, retire you and replace you with a better design? Because this is awful. Okay, so I guess step one is we need you to get back to Novice, and if we just shift this area here over a bit, that'll save us room to put in a bunch more cargo bays, and that should mostly do the trick in terms of getting this all functional again. So yeah, so that's gonna be what we have to do. Now, if we just cut this all out, how much of an issue is that gonna be? So it's like this area here gets cut and pasted over there. And you're gonna need more space platform foundation. So we're going to want to have you pause when you get to Novice so that we can actually do this construction. Currently you can't even dismantle things because you don't have enough space. Alright, but then once that's in, then we'll be able to just add in a couple of these guys, and hopefully that'll be enough. It very well might not be. So we can prevent you from having those blue belts, because we don't really need those for much of anything. Okay, and then that cargo landing pad needs to be back there. And then we need our input here. So I assume that that just goes up into there. And really, the turrets ran out of ammunition. It's been like 10 seconds since I dismantled that. That's crazy. Okay, so then this is not the most efficient way of dragging those, but it's fine. Okay, so now you're stopped at Novice, and I just want you to sit here for a little bit. Just don't leave while I make sure that this is all functional. So we can get one more cargo landing pad in there. We can get all of your foundations launched and to get these solar panels back in. And we need those last couple of belts to get that built up so that you can start producing ammo again. And that should be more or less solved. Okay, so you should be fine now, I think. At least until all this extra cargo space gets used up. But we did add a reasonably high amount, so it should be fine. Actually, we can actually make this even better. So if that underground belt just goes all the way over to there, then this can just fit in like another giant chunk of those and give you even more cargo space at the cost of looking incredibly scuffed. So that should be plenty at that point. And then let's see, what else were we doing? We were looking at the stone stuff back on Novice. Okay, so fast transport is here, and it's got its mining drills and foundries, so you can head back to Novice now and drop those off. And I guess we'll see if Vulcanist support can make it there first. It's got a tiny head start, but fast transport is so much faster that it should be fine. Yeah, literally 10 times faster. Crazy speed difference. Okay, so once that makes it back, this stone mine should be set up, and it should be completely clear. Again, this is very much internal to the factory. It's got this nice convenient ocean here. So, oh, these actually somehow got built. I'm not sure how that happened, but I'm not going to complain. Now, each of these individually is 100 per second. So, we need to see. So, half of a belt is actually, these ones in the center are 116 per second. So, half of a belt is 120 because it's 30 times 4. So, if we have like one of these, that's basically half of a stone belt immediately. Which means that we need to rework this a lot. So, first of all, these ones in the center are relatively straightforward. So they can go down here. And then that's those two. Then we have another couple batches of 2 in this. I don't know how we're going to get all of this stone out reasonably. But we can at least get some of it, I guess. So you need to go down this way. And then you need to, like, wrap around there so that you output correctly. And then that will be a belt. Can we get a Spidertron over here just for building things reasonably? Okay, so how many belts of stone can we get out of this? The Spidertron is very far away, so it'll take a minute, but how many belts of stone can we get out of this? So it's basically just form these up into groups of 2, somehow get those groups of 2 out, and then profit. So this is a group of 2, which if we take you underground, you can head up past that other group of 2, which then can't escape. So that's not very helpful. Yeah, honestly, these sort of side ones where we can just mess with the belts a little bit are way more convenient. Okay, so I guess you can like go underground in these gaps in here with the beacons. So like we have this group of 2, and then you turn that way and then go underground, and you can actually just barely reach outwards. So that is that, and then this would be a group of 3 basically, which is fine by me. So these 2 need to combine up like so. This output belt goes out. Actually, I want these guys to be going downwards just for convenience. So you go down like that. And then you are the one who loops out and then back in. So that should be functional. Where is this Spidertron doing? Do not have... You do have all the correct types of belts. You just weren't standing close enough. Oh well. Okay, so then these 2 then come out this way and loop into there. So that's this row done. This row is basically done. So the first 2 rows here are cleared. Now we have this one, and we have these 2, which, again, we just are going to have this belt go down this way, and then curve out that way and squeeze underground all the way out to there. Okay, so that's that set of two. Then this set of two can do the same thing. So you go down and over and out. And then this set of three can go up. And I guess we can actually, because now we have two sets of three, right? So this one and this one would actually be better combined. So we can actually just rotate you and have you just take your outputs together like this. I can get all these things to face the right way, not go underground randomly. Okay, actually we want you to be... Hang on, wait. How do we get this so that they're on opposite sides? So you're going to be on the near side there. We actually want you to be on the far side. So you go up like that. Then you just bash into the other side. And that's you done. So then we have this group of two and that group of two. And then we've got just three of these guys here. I guess I can fit another one in there just to make the numbers work out evenly, not necessarily because I think I need it. So that then branches out that way, and this one loops up like that and into there. All right, problem solved. Now let's just get in some of these beacons that these guys can technically have. I don't even know if that fits. No, it definitely doesn't. Or does it? Wait. It's hard to see. It looks like the ones that it's highlighting, that it's affecting, are highlighted, so it should fit. And then you get a beacon. And then we get some beacons down here. And then we get some beacons around this area. And then you get a couple of beacons. And I think that's it. So now we just have to spam all the speed modules into these guys. And we're going to have so much stone out of here. Okay, speed modules, check. Now just chuck some random power poles around until they're all covered. Some of them are just already covered by chance, but gotta make sure that they're all cleared. And we get those ones. Oh, and this last one over here needs to have its productivity modules as well. Okay. So, now that we've got this, which is just an absolute mess, and we need to wait for the speed modules to show up, and we need that power pole to get connected properly. So we just need the last couple speed modules to show up for these guys, and then we should have this all set up. And now we can make it less of a mess by just coordinating all these belts somewhere convenient. So we can just send them all over to the left here, and then that should be good. So we get you first, then you come out, and you go out that way, and we just need to get all of these belts going in a coordinated manner, just in the same spot, facing the same direction, so that we can work with them easily. So this is like sort of the quick step one of getting that done, which is just sort of pointing them all in that direction. Now these ones are facing the exact opposite direction, so they're going to need to go up and around, and then you can go down and around, because why not? Okay, so now we've got all of these belts going, and there sure are a lot of them. If this isn't enough legendary stone, I don't know what could ever possibly be enough legendary stone, to be honest. Because this is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 belts of stone. Now, they're not all 100% full. In fact, I think they're all just a little bit short, because these are going to be like 116 each instead of the full 120. And that one down at the edge is a bit unbalanced, so this is 100, because this beacon isn't quite close enough to it, but we can't really get it closer, so it is what it is. Alright, so now we have all this stone. Let's go over to Vulcanus and just grab, copy paste this setup here, and just go to town. So this should be dealing with one full belt. Now, if we have you facing this way, so they can become sort of like a row going across this way, that will be most convenient. So we can actually start back there, and then just place them all in. I want these to be aligned if possible. 1, 2. We can actually squeeze these in like crazy if we want. Yeah, let's do that. That'll be fun. 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we can fit 5 in like that before we're going to need to find some other direction to do things. And we're going to need a whole lot more construction materials to build all this, but it'll get there eventually. So that belt goes there, and this belt doesn't need to go all the way over to there. So you can all get pulled back. And we probably need to bring the Roboport down into the area so that all of this is covered, and it looks like the entire setup is all set up, so that should be fine. Now we just need so many items. So fast transport is here. It's got a couple legendary recyclers that it can drop off. And it's also got a couple turbo transport belts it can drop off. Can't do much for the stack inserters and the rest of the legendary recyclers, though. Okay, so let's just dump all of those off that we can. And at least the number of entities missing construction bots is decreasing. So how is it possible that we have only 700 construction bots on all of Novice? We need to get that fixed ASAP. That is nowhere near enough for this planet. Where is our construction bot set up? It's like this whole area in here, and it's not getting enough flying robot frames. Are you just not... Oh, I see. We had turned that off entirely. Whereas these guys are just output full. Okay, so we need you to just actively pick up the construction bots and send them into the system. So we can do that. And that should be all fine. Actually, can fast transport... Yes, we can actually... We actually do have legendary bots that we can send down as well. Although we don't need to send them down, actually. We need to just... They're present on the planet. We just need to bring them in. So, you can request legendary construction bots. And why not regular construction bots while you're at it, in case those are available, which they don't seem to be. So we can get all those delivered in. And now the problem is actually that there's just too many in this one roboport. So we can't actually make that much progress there, but we're up to like 1,000. We're up to like 1,000 construction bots. It should be fine. Feeding in more constantly. They are apparently getting distributed and going off to do things, so that should be all good. And let's just let a couple more of the legendary construction bots get delivered before we stop doing that. So there we go. Those get delivered and then they get sent off, and then I think that should be good for that. Alright, now that we have all that, we're waiting mostly on legendary recyclers. So, Fulgora support, you are returning from Fulgora with 20. Sorry about that sneeze. Did not see that one coming. So you have 20 legendary recyclers, and you will be making your way back. But we need 40. And does Fulgora even have another 20 to deliver? Yes, it does. Okay. So that's a good sign. So let's just get fast transport up to Fulgora then. And you should be able to make that trip nice and quick to finish off all of that. And we've got the first setup already, and it seems to be mostly functional. Obviously not all the recyclers are in, but it's got a good chunk of them. So then we can send in the second setup, which just goes down like that. And then the third one goes into there. And the fourth one goes out and into there, I think. Okay, now we need more drone ports so that this whole thing is within like active range for all these guys. And we're probably going to need at least one more as well, like over here. Hopefully that is spaced properly. If it's just slightly too far, I'm going to be real sad. Alright, so this all is in, and it gets built up. And one last transport belt. And that's in. We only have 2 recyclers on this lane. So it's not exactly going to be going at a high speed. But speaking of going at a high speed, fast transport belt is here over Fulgora, and it is going to be picking up those last couple of recyclers that we need. So that should be all clear. And available on planet 119 somehow. That's a lot. I didn't even know we had stockpiles for that many. Are we like buffering chest? Oh, we have a buffer chest up here that stores up to 100 of them. That makes sense. Okay. So that is all good. So those get launched. And then fast transport can pick those up and bring them back. I'm just going to wait for those last 20 so that you can deliver your full batch. And we also need legendary quality modules on Novice, which you wouldn't think we would need, but I guess we do. Alright, so back to Novice. How do you not have legendary quality modules? I thought this was the home of them. Okay, it is, and they are producing. It's just a matter of throughput rate, right? So that's fine. We can speed this up by making these guys all extra speedy. And those are the only ones which should need it, really. And that should get quality module production going. And there we go. So that is now in, and these guys are going to be a good bit faster. Seems like twice-ish as fast, theoretically. Yeah, seems about twice as fast. From 1419 to... It was like from 700-ish to like 1400-ish%. So that's extra fast. And the power grid can keep up. Barely. So this should be 0.71 per second, but it's only got... It's limited off of these guys, which are actually limited based on how fast this long-handled inserter can rotate. So let's just add a couple more long-handled inserters there, just to real quick solve that problem. Just got to Aquilo. Congratulations, that's a very complicated planet, but pretty neat. I'm just trying to get everything all like legendary buildings and stuff, and it's quite the task. Right now we're making legendary stone so that we can eventually use it to do their whole refined concrete and the electromagnetic plants. We've got all the other bits sorted out. It's just the legendary stone that we're working on at this point. Oh yeah, the heat pipes are certainly a thing on Aquilo. It's not the easiest possible setup, I'll say that. Alright, so fast transport is here. You can drop off those, and then that should be fine for now. So now we just need to finish off these with quality modules and get the rest of these belts attached in. So you go all the way down here, and I can tell these are the first input rows because they've got the stack inserters as opposed to the bulk inserters. So we just have this blueprint copied a bunch of times. Each one can cycle down one stack or one full-ish belt of stone. And we need another 76 plus quality modules, which is a lot. And also apparently this one here has like almost no resources under it, so that's not going to last very long. But most of the rest of these are fine, including the ones around the edges. it's just this one, which is apparently just barely grabbed the corner. Alright, so this is all that we have for this. We're going to need to bring in way more quality modules and way more recyclers before we can reasonably use the entire other half of this stone patch. But for now, this should be plenty. Got artillery shell range researched, and now we need to throw some more researches in. Let's say artillery shell range again. And I guess some more artillery upgrades just to keep the research things busy. So those can go. And now, of course, that's exactly one tile out from where we want it to be. Alright, so we're just going to put in a roboport up there to grab that area, and now your goal is to get to legendary rarity and then move back to novice and start again. Yeah, that seems reasonable. I'm doing something kind of similar, although I'm not starting again. I'm just sort of retrofitting and upgrading stuff. Legendary rarity is a lot of work, but it's pretty satisfying once you can get it going. I'm making good progress on that myself. I have like everything for novice, Vulcanus, and Gleba that I'd care to make legendary done. There are some things that I'm missing, but nothing super important. Like, I haven't done the centrifuges because I don't really need the extra speed for those at the moment, because I'm not using nuclear for much of anything. Alright, so this is working. You are working. You are working. As are you. And you. Okay, so that is going to be hopefully enough legendary stone. Where was that? Why are we getting attacked out here? Oh, it's because the artillery shell range upgrades means we're going to be angering every biter within 1,000,000 miles. So that is fine. Let's check over here. Is the blue circuit system working properly? It might actually have too many red circuits now, somehow. And it looks like we're going to have to reattach the input again, now that this is fully drained from the last time that it broke. So input can get reattached, and that will be producing all the blue circuits. Then... okay, that's actually a lot of damage, but it's probably fine. Yeah, it's just a stupid medium electrical pole, which somehow got placed in just the most inconvenient spot on my blueprint, and I just have never bothered to fix it. So we can just clear that out, and then it should be fine. And Gleba also looks mostly fine. We haven't been attacked here in a while, at least. Obviously, Fulgora and Vulcanus are thankfully not having the same issues. So, now that we have theoretically a good amount of legendary stone out here on Novice, what we can do is we need to then work on legendary iron ore, and we don't need much of it. We just need a little bit. We need like 1 per every 10 concrete. And we need then 20 concrete per 10 refined concrete. And then we need 50 refined concrete per EM plant. So we need like 10-ish legendary iron ore per EM plant, which is not that bad at all. So, we've got this, which is horrifically out of date. I have not looked at this in a long time. We need modules and beacons And then we should be, once we have those in, we should be able to spare just like a random belt of iron ore out. Alright, so let's just go over here, copy paste this setup, and then just like mash it on top of that, and then just see how that works out. We are still not getting enough turbo transport belts delivered. Thought that would be solved by now, but maybe we just need to set the amount being requested to be higher. Okay, so that should be somewhere in here. Yes. Alright, so we can set you up to 2,000. And hopefully that will be plenty now. Fast transport belt. You were just minding your business, doing nothing wrong. Okay, so where did we lose those 9 drones? Down here in a artillery-related accident. That's fine, not worried about that. Okay, so we need to get another random power pole in so that that Roboport can get connected up properly. And then we need still a couple quality modules short over here, which is annoying. But these are all going in, and we really need those belts, but they'll get there eventually. So, once the belts get there, we actually need to just coordinate these so that they go to useful places. So like this belt here can just connect over to that instead of going up that way. And then this belt here can just go up there and not go all the way over this way. And then this belt here goes up there. And I believe that should be all of that connection that we wanted to have. And we need more legendary speed modules because always need those. Those should be on their way. Yeah, Vulcanist support is on its way to deliver more of those, so that shouldn't be an issue. And then the legendary productivity modules are apparently all available at the moment. So that is working. And we just need all of this to get built up so that we can have that all functional. And we have temporarily broken the... I think this is probably like the entire factory supply of iron ore, which is not ideal. But it should be back up and running relatively quickly. And once that happens, then we'll be good to go. This big mining drill back here doesn't need to resist. Neither do actually a lot of these things out here around the edges. So we can take those out, just save a couple of belts and things. And then we need just like any random belt which isn't otherwise being used. Okay, we do have some stockpiles in here to provide that iron for like this delivery, but the next one after this we're going to need actual supplies. So now we just bring this belt over and we just need to put it somewhere where we have space, like up here. Yeah, so we just need to go up there and then set up. Can we just yoink? Well, it's not going to be the right ratios probably, but it should be like generally close to what we need it to be. So we just yoink you, bring you up to novice, and then pop you in there. and then feed that in. Then that should provide us our legendary iron ore once it all gets built up. And then we will get a drone port out there and connect the power pole across. This area used to be a dangerous spot where biters could be, but it is not anymore. So we've got that line of laser turrets, which we don't need at this point. And actually, maybe the Spidertron has some supplies to do this with. I can send you over. I don't know what it might or might not have, but apparently had some fast transport belts, so I'm not going to complain about that. So then you can run down here to get some of these guys done as well. But that's your entire supply of fast transport belts. Now we're just stuck waiting again. So fast transport is here above Vulcanus. It's got several hundred of those, so you can now just return and drop those off to finish this construction out. And still 78 of these short. We're missing legendary blue circuits at this point. So you need like 2 per second. And these guys could create 2 per second if we had enough input here. So let's start by getting you set higher and give you a stack inserter. So that should help with that. And also, these are somehow epic modules. They should definitely be legendaries. So let's get those upgrades in, and that should make this a little bit more efficient and a little bit better overall. And that should help with our legendary blue circuit supply. Obviously, legendary green circuits, we have these being imported en masse from Vulcanus, so they shouldn't be an issue unless we just need to mess with the throughput to get it to work. Where was actually... Oh no, it was not from Vulcanus, it was from Fulgora, right, yeah. And we've got 5,000 of those here, and another giant quantity of other assorted junk. So that should be all set. Fast transport is almost back. And okay, you can bring those from Vulcanus for the future and drop those off. So there you go. And that should be the belt side of things done. That should be the belt side of things done. And the green circuit supply is... We might actually need to set up to deliver even more green circuits, because this is running low and the transport platform isn't quite back yet. Now, theoretically, this should not be an issue in the long run, as long as we have plenty of, like, because eventually we're not going to need to be spamming quality modules out to quite this extent, and it will stop being an issue. So sort of a short-term problem. We're missing one speed module, apparently. Does the Spidertron have that, or is it out? Spidertron's out. Alright, well, that's unfortunate. Not a big deal, though. It'll show up eventually from some Vulcanus support type thing. Okay, actually, you have, like, a bunch of speed modules, but you didn't deliver them. So you can make sure to drop some of those off. I don't know why you didn't deliver those. But now you've done so successfully, so that's all good. And now all these belts are showing up. And this should get the iron supply functional again. can see at least one belt is making it through. And it's just going to be a matter of how long it takes for all this stuff to get built. So that all goes forwards and is loading up now. Another belt is now active. And now the third input belt is now active. Now these are going to be slow because I do not have the capacity to upgrade these significantly. But it'll be better than nothing. And I might be able to help a little bit by making that upgrade happen. I thought you had... Yeah, you have turbo splitters. I guess it must have been assigned to someone else. That's fine, though. Okay, so these take in 40 iron each. Whereas these ones over here are doing 32 stone each. And this was enough for the stone, so it should be enough. Yeah, so it was enough for the stone, should be enough for the iron. We are missing a bunch of the quality modules, actually. We're probably missing enough quality modules that I don't want this to be running and just wasting iron. It'll technically work and make some, but it's going to be horrifically inefficient. And we have modules on the way. Actually, we can just borrow some from the fast transport, which would probably need them eventually, but for now, those can just get dropped off. And of course, some of those are just going to get instantly launched right back up here, but at least it'll help them get used. Now, I don't know why those aren't going. Is something weird happening with our landing pad? Nope, landing pad's fine. And it is receiving... Actually, maybe the landing pad isn't fine. Maybe we need to add more cargo thingamabobs here so that it can drop easier. So if we add some cargo bays, where can we squeeze these little guys in? We should be able to squeeze them in like up here without causing too much of a problem. We will need to replace this guy's fuel source. Just like that is easy enough. And now we have at least one cargo bay, so it could be a whole lot worse. Okay, so that has been dropped off. And now those have been assigned. So this will be back to fully operational again in a moment, once these modules just make their way down. Which looks like they are slowly but surely doing. So then we'll be able to put this back in and get our legendary iron ore. This isn't going to be an amazing source, but we don't need a huge amount. We just need a reasonable amount. Alright, so the last couple modules go in, and now we can connect that belt back up. And these ratios should be identical to the stone ones, at 32 per machine to 8. So we shouldn't have any issues with that. This should just work and give us our legendary iron ore, which once we have those two things, we can first smelt up the stone in a furnace. Then we combine those with water to make legendary concrete. Then we combine the legendary concrete with some other assorted things to make refined concrete. And then we ship our legendary refined concrete all the way over to Fulgora to make our EM plants. And the other thing which the EM plants needed was the holmium stuff, which we seem to be out of holmium ore, which is extremely unsurprising. So we have 572, which is enough for like a couple, but it's not that great. So has something gone wrong here? No, it's just that even with all of this, it's still just not that much holmium ore. Like, we're going as efficiently as we possibly can, but it's just not very efficient. And we can't put productivity modules in the recyclers, so there's no point doing that. We could technically put quality modules in here and start quality cycling one step early to get an advantage, but that is miserable, and we would have to deal with so much chaos, and it would just not be worth it at all. So, this is all we can do for that. There's no backlog in terms of the outputs, right? Like, all these machines are successfully outputting everything they want to. So that's all working. It's all working quite smoothly. We just, like, need way more production of things. And let's see, if we go to the holmium ore, the intermediate spot, where is that? Is it actually just... No, there is a designated intermediate spot for it. I just don't know where it is. That's here. Okay. So we are sending out another train's worth of it. So that's fine. And we're not using this overflow problem because we certainly don't have overflow, so we don't need to just destroy holmium ore to make space for other things. But this is what it is. There's this random belt down here, which serves no purpose. Let's just get rid of that. Because every time I see it, I'm like, what's that? And the answer is that it's nothing. So let's pick that up. And now down here, we can drop off all of our holmium ore. And then that just loops up again. And it's as efficient as it can get, but there's not... It just takes so much, and there's not much holmium input, that there's not much that we can do to make this faster, aside from, like, setting up an entirely massively upscaled version of this, which I don't even know, like... I don't even know how we could possibly make that work. And we would have to deal with so much excess, like gear wheels and solid fuel and stuff, that it would be completely insane. So we're just going to have to rely on the slow but steady production, I think. And how is this going? This is still 34 million. It started at 40 million a long time ago. So it's not going down at an especially concerning rate. So that's all good. And that unloads fast enough. And the trains are going as fast as they can. They can't quite keep a steady flow, but they can get quite close. So I guess we can upgrade that, but it's kind of not going to cause much of an impact. So we have 29 iron ore now. So that's working quite nicely. The stone is also going well. Have 100-ish in each, probably. Yeah, have 100 each. Have 100-ish of each in that. So we have all of those, which means it should be just like a couple steps to get all of our refined concrete. So first of all, we need... It's kind of funny that these only go into electric furnaces and there's no fancy special buildings we can use to make it better. But let's get electric furnace, and then I don't know how fast this is, and I can't check in advance. So we might need multiple electric furnaces to keep up. We might not. Just in case we do, we'll set it up to accommodate for that. So you go like that, and then output. And you are also going to get the best modules available, of course. So that should turn legendary stone into legendary stone bricks. Then we just have assembly machines, which can take that. And let's actually set this up in case it needs to be scaled. Of course, we're just a single millimeter out of drone range as usual. Let's get another drone port out. There we go. And that needs powered. Alright, so then you are going to be making the concrete, and we can actually just make you extra fast, right? That should be fine. Then we need water. Fortunately, there is water right over here, so let's just stick an offshore pump in and bring that on over. Yeesh. Not the world's straightest pipe. Let's just make that a little bit better. So you can go in like that. And I don't think this can be productivity moduled. It cannot. Okay, so that will eventually get the water once the offshore pump gets built. And then we just need to provide you with the other side of this belt, which is going to be the legendary iron ore. So let's just do a sort of janky setup there so that that works and goes onto the other side of the belt. And you get legendary iron ore input like that. So now this should be plenty of legendary concrete. And oh, I have to set this to legendary, obviously. I was like, why is it not working? Alright, so now that can run and make us our legendary concrete at 3 per second, which we can obviously get speed modules if we need that to be faster. So then I do want to make this just like with an eye towards being at least theoretically expandable if we need to. So we get an output belt like that, and then a power pole, and then we just need this belt to run out somewhere convenient. And the refined concrete is also just in an assembly machine. So we get one of those guys in. And you are going to need to have access to the water pipe as well. So that will come out like that. And actually, no, not like that, because we need to have various inputs. So then we have the input belt there, which will be taking legendary steel and legendary iron sticks, both of which I have crafted elsewhere. Pretty sure, right? Yes. So I have both of those crafted elsewhere. They all go into here. They get powered up. And then that provides that. This, I realized I've done all of this one tile too high up. So you get to, actually no, I didn't cut enough there. So we need to cut all of that. And bring you just down to there. And now we run that belt along. You get attached up, and then our refined concrete can get long-handled output up there. And you could be a legendary assembly machine, why not? That's why I've got them. And then we can just store that into a random box somewhere. And these are making their way over here eventually. And I need to give you a stack inserter. And I need to remember to set this to legendary. And that should be all clear, I think. It should be everything we need. And you also, I assume, can't be productivity modules, so there's nothing we can do there. Alright, it's producing quite fast, 2 per second, as long as it's fully functional, which it's not quite going to be, because that's slightly less than the 4 per second that this needs. But it's producing fast, so let's limit that to just a couple stacks. And that will be the refined concrete, which means that with a little bit of work we'll be able to make the electromagnetic plants. We have everything crafted up in theory to make them. Now the supply of holmium plates is a serious issue, so this at 603, that is enough to make 4 of these. With a productivity bonus for EM plants, we can make 6, which is not very many. It's not very many EM plants at all. So we need to figure out how to get more legendary holmium plates. That is going to be our goal. So in terms of just converting it up from holmium ore better, is there some other way of like doing this? So obviously direct holmium plate recycling, we don't get to use productivity bonuses because it's all in recyclers. Now if we were to do superconductors, that would just give us superconductors back, which is useless. Supercapacitors would theoretically give us holmium plates back. It would also give us kind of just a bunch of random nonsense, but it would let us use productivity bonuses in the loop instead of it all being recycling. So I guess what we need to do then is create a production line that just makes a massive amount of supercapacitors. So batteries are easy, those just come off of a train. Green circuits should theoretically be easy. You can just either recycle them or just grab them from the drone network or whatever. You should have easy access to plenty of those. Holmium plates, those are the thing we're trying to do. We're going to have as many of those as we can. Superconductors take more holmium plates, unfortunately. And electrolytes takes holmium solution. So with all the extra holmium inputs, like, is this even better? So we need 10 electrolytes for one of these, which is 10 holmium solution, which is like a fraction of a holmium ore. It's probably still better. It's gotta still be better, right? Because it's just so bad with... The efficiency is just so bad with just pure recycling. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. I think we're going to wrap up the stream there for today. So we have, theoretically, the ability to make a couple legendary EM plants. We need more work to actually get enough of them to be able to use them for just like ordinary things. But we are getting there. So I think that is where we are going to wrap up for the day. So thanks everyone for hanging out. Had a lot of fun. We made good progress. And tomorrow I'll be doing Dyson Sphere program, where we are just sort of barely getting interstellar logistics set up and dealing with having other planets that we need to worry about defending and everything. And then we'll be back to Factorio on Wednesday, where we are going to be hopefully making more progress on this whole legendary electromagnetic plant thing. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure to stop by then. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, so follow if you haven't already so that you know when I'm live. And that's about it. Thanks everyone for hanging out, and I will see you guys next time.